June 1st. I'll put it to you like this. I'm about 10 times smarter than everyone in juvie. For real, these guys are a bunch of straight dummies, man. Take this big black kid they put me in a cell with, Rondell. He can't even read. I know, 'cause 3 nights ago he stepped to me when I was writing in my journal. He said, "Yo, Mexico, what you writing about in there?" "Whatever I want to write about," I said without looking up. "How about them apples, homie?" He paused. "What you just said?" I shook my head, told him, "And Mexico's a pretty stupid thing to call me, by the way, considering I've never even been to Mexico." His ass stood there a quick sec, thinking about what I'd just said to him, or at least trying. Then he bum-rushed me, shoved me right off my chair and onto the ground, pressed his giant grass-stained shoe down on my neck. He said, "Don't you never talk like that to Rondell again, you hear? Nobody talked to Rondell like that." I tried to nod, but he had my neck pinned, so I couldn't really move my head. Couldn't make a sound either, or breathe too good. He swiped my journal off the table and stared at the page I was writing, his cape weighing down on my neck. And I'm not gonna lie, man, I got a little spooked. Rondell's a freak for a 16-year-old, 6 foot something with huge-ass arms and legs and a face that already looks like he's a grown man. And I'd just written some pretty bad stuff about him in my journal. Called him a retarded ape who smells like when a rat dies in the wall of your apartment. But at the same time, I almost wanted Rondell to push harder with his shoe. Almost wanted him to crush my neck, break my windpipe, and end my stupid-ass journal right then and there. I started imagining the shoe pushing all the way through, rubber hitting the cement. Then telling my mom what happened as she stood with the phone cupped to her ear in the kitchen, crying, but at the same time looking sort of relieved too. After a couple of minutes like that, Rondell staring at the page I'd been writing and me pinned to the nasty cement floor of our cell, he tossed my journal back on the table and took his foot off my neck. And that's how I knew he couldn't read. Dude was staring right at the sentences I'd just written about him, right? And he didn't do nothing, just hopped on his bunk, linked his fingers behind his head, and stared at the paint chip ceiling. What Rondell thinks about. There was a long silence in our cell as I got up off the floor and sat back in the chair, tried to stretch out my neck and draw. Then Rondell said, "Hey, Mexico." I rolled my eyes, like we were going to be boys after he just tried to kill my ass. "Yo, Mexico." People are straight up ignorant, man. He leaned over to look at me. "Mexico, I'm talking to you, man." "What?" I shouted back. "Go on, man, talk, damn." "Yo, you think God could really see the stuff you do down here, even when you locked up like me and you is?" "I think he sees about as much as Santa Claus," I said, opening my journal back up, ripping out my last entry and crumbling it in a ball. He laid back down, stared at the ceiling again. "'Cause I've been thinking about that lately. If he could see me even when I'm in here, behind bars. I've been thinking he maybe don't like what he sees too much." I looked up at Rondell's bunk, stared at his big black leg hanging off the bed. I looked at my brown arm and then back at his leg. It was probably the blackest damn thing I'd ever seen in my life. And more than half of my school back in Stockton is either black kids or Mexicans like me. You ever wonder why some people get so much darker than others? It's about people's genes, I know, and about how all the continents were once connected or whatever. But how did it start? Who was the first person to come out looking all different from everybody else? Sometimes I trip on little shit like that. "What you think, Mexico?" He couldn't see me, but I shrugged anyway. I told him, "I don't think any of us know what he can see, Rondell. You ever think that maybe that's the point?" And that was it. We didn't say another word to each other for the next 2 days, and on the third day, early in the morning, the guard came for me. He slid open our cell door, holding a clipboard, looking down a bit, and said, "Miguel Castaneda, grab your stuff and come with me, kid. You're being transferred." "To where?" I said. "Group home in San Jose. Let's go." Rondell didn't look down at me while I was gathering up all my stuff, even though I was being all loud on purpose, even though I could tell he was awake.